Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Miles High Club podcast. I'm your host, Miles. This is episode 58. Episode 58, and now I'm going to apologize if my lips look greasy on camera. They're not greasy. It's dry lip season out there. The cold weather dries up my lips quicker than anything. So when it comes to the lathering, I make sure I'm a good full force on there. I'm using it like lipstick. I use the stick balms. This is going to be a completely irrelevant conversation, but let's talk about it. I use the lip balms. I don't like using the tins. One, people like to share, and I don't like people sharing the tins. And two, I feel like everyone has the tins, so there's always the chance that you could be out at work, wherever, you put it down and someone picks it up thinking it's there. So no, I go for the lip balm sticks, put that on, tuck it away, and I'm good. If anyone, the people watching this, what brand is the best? I feel like Vaseline might actually be the best brand. Usually, the popular big brands aren't always the best ones. They're definitely one of the cheapest. It's only like £1. But I've tried so many other ones and they don't do nothing at all. The one I've got now is a Nivea one. And I feel like my lips are already drying off. I feel like my lips are already getting dry. So if you see me apply my balm a few times this episode, don't judge me. Just know, it's not winter yet, but it's cold out there like it is. And my lips and skin, everything on me just dries out. I don't know if it's a black thing, if it's a me thing, if it happens to all humans. All I know is I'm going through it and I need to find some decent what's it called? Lip balm? I always say some decent Vaseline. Vaseline's the brand and it's lip balm. Let's get straight into I don't know where to start. I'm going to start with, I feel like I'm just going to start with all the short ones. I spoke about this a few weeks ago. Some Insulate Britain protester glued his face to the floor. But now they're all gluing themselves to the floor. So at some point last week, they were protesting. Again, they do nothing but protest. All they were doing is protesting. And around 50 Insulate Britain activists blocked traffic outside Parliament Square on Monday morning by gluing themselves to the tarmac. Take that as you will. They didn't glue them. They didn't glue their faces, but they glued their clothing or whatever they were on, and glued themselves to the tarmac. And then people were getting mad at the police. Now you will rarely hear me come on this podcast and stick up for the police. But if people have glued themselves to the floor, what do you want the police to do? Because the police put a comment here. Hold on, where's the comment? Let me find. I'm trying to find the actual statement that they made about we can't just rip people up off the floor. Here we go. Some activists had glued themselves to the ground. We cannot haphazardly rush in and yank people away when they are glued. And I agree. Number one, you might fuck some shit up. If it isn't their clothes and it is something glued and you yank them up, that's a lawsuit. And it's not just against that police officer. The lawsuit's against the whole police, like the police force. So that's fucked. Two, they're glued. Now glue works. Depending on what kind of glue they've used. You probably can't, he probably means in the literal sense, you can't just yank them off the floor. They are glued. They are stuck there. It takes time to get these people, but there you go. That's what's happening with Insulate Britain. What else is happening? COP26. I thought this was like a 1 or 2 day thing. No, this shit looks like it's been going on for weeks. Barack Obama turned up. Boris Johnson left and then went back. David Attenborough was there. Greta Thunberg, the little Swedish girl that you probably seen on the news before when she was like 8 years old, going off about climate control. So I don't know much about this because it's politics and politics always confuses me. But basically, the main objective of COP26 is to stop or reduce the Earth's temperature by 2050. So by 2050, they want the Earth's temperature to be at 1.5 degrees Celsius or lower. A few days after they said that, initial reports came out and was like, yeah, they're going to miss that. They'll probably get about 1.8, 1.9, which isn't good enough. And now it's come out that the world's actually on track for 2.4 warming despite COP26 pledges, according to reports. Again, I said this before. What does that mean for us? Like, if you're my generation, 28-year-olds or older, fuck all. Fuck all. I mean, 2050, again, 2050, I don't know why I'm looking at my watch, like my watch is going to tell me. 2050 is what? 29 years away? I think that was the correct maths. Yeah, 29 years away. If not, we'll see. So again, it's not going to affect us. Even if the Earth does get to 2.5, it's not going to blow up. It's just going to be really, really warm. Even more floods. It's fucked for our kids, and even more fucked for our kids' kids. Like, I always sit there and I wonder, when you watch like sci-fi movies or end of the world movies, things like, what's a climate control one? Day After Tomorrow. I feel like that has something to do with climate control. Geostorm kind of sort of has something to do with climate control. Like, if the world ends due to climate control, I always think to myself, how is that shit going to happen? Is it just going to be every kind of natural disaster just striking the earth at once? The main thing I'm thinking of is, if when the world does end, is the planet going to fall apart? Or is it just like the ground's going to break up, all humans are going to die, and then the earth will just reset itself over a millennia and maybe start with humans again? That's the one thing that I always wonder. And by the time this is going to happen, will humans have moved to space in sci-fi? Like, I feel like they're looking at space. Stick with me, guys. I'm not hot. Well, just stick with me. We're already looking at space travel. So we're looking at traveling into space and getting in there. It's only a matter of time before someone, Elon or Richard Branson or Bill Gates or one of these gazillion trillionaires, before they're like, oh, let's put a hotel up there. Let's put a hotel up there and let's put this there. Let's put offices up there. And then eventually all the rich and famous will just be off Earth on space. I have so many questions. Maybe this isn't the podcast for it. But just know, I have so many questions. Another thing that I caught in the news, I had no idea about this. I don't know where I saw it. Someone called David Fuller. So David Fuller admits to killing 2 women in 1987. So, David Fuller of East Sussex attacked Wendy, 25, and Carolyn, 20, at their Tunbridge Wells bedsit. Now, this story, the main reason I'm talking about this story is it is because he killed these 2 people, but that's not where the story ends. It's where the story starts. So back in 1987, he kills 2 people and gets away with it. So the first part of the story is he got away with it. Again, back then they didn't have forensics and all of this shit. They just had to deal with whatever they had to deal with. Again, thanks to later technology. Apparently I'm trying to figure out what they said. They said something about it. It wasn't a dead case. It was a cold case. So the case hadn't been closed, but it was a cold case. No one had closed the case, but there was nothing going on with the case whatsoever. Thanks to new technology, they were able to, hold on, bear with me. They have this technology where they can get your DNA and they can do like a familiar DNA search. So if, for example, I'm not in the system, but I have a brother that's in the system, not saying this is true or not, it's just an example off the top of my head. If I leave my blood somewhere and I'm not in the system, they can't get my DNA. What they can do, though, is use a familiar DNA, which then runs the searches through, and it will ping up and be like, boom, it's not him, but it's his brother's DNA, and that's how they can find me. That's what happened with this David Fuller guy. They found his DNA, a bit of semen, and they also found a boot print as well. Again, back then they couldn't do anything. Now, I don't know how the semen specimen survived or whatever, but some DNA survived. They ran it through this familiar check thing. It didn't bring up David, but it brought up a relative of David. So they were able to work out, right, this semen belongs to someone that's related to him. Did more research. Found David. He denied it at first, but then I think on day 4 in court or something, he admitted to it. Now, I want to get the exact... I'm trying to get the exact numbers before I read out this next part to you. I'm trying to find... Oh my God. I'm trying to find the exact number. There you go. So, the former NHS electrician admitted to filming himself sexually abusing at least 100 female corpses between the ages of 9 and 100 in 2 hospitals in Kent. Oh, this story. So not only was this guy a murderer, he killed 2 people and got away with it. The sick fantasies that roamed around his head didn't end there. He was he was an electrician. And because he was an electrician... No, right, it's got electrician. He was an electrician, but he also used to work, I think it's maintenance or something like that, at two, I don't know what they're called, hospital? Yeah, at two hospitals in Kent. Because of his position, it meant that he could just go anywhere around the hospital, do whatever he wants, early hours of the morning, late at night, in the middle of the day, whenever he wanted to, and wherever he wanted to. He could go wherever, whenever. In doing this, in the two hospitals, fuck me, he sexually abused and filmed himself sexually abusing at least 100 female corpses. I'm not going to read the age again, but up to the age of 100. That happened. More than 400 people called police helpline for families who fear bodies of loved ones might have been abused. Imagine having to go through the ordeal of losing someone, and then you hear on the news that such and such over a certain period of time was filming himself sexually assaulting female corpses. And then you've got to sit there and think, well, such and such was in this hospital around the same timeline. And then you've got to sit there and think, do I want to find out whether or not my family member was one of these people? Again, you might have buried this person and got over the grief 5, 6, 10, however many years ago when all this would have been happening. And now you've got to go back, relive all of that just to try and find out if someone's sexually assaulted. And then even if he did, he's going to jail. There's no problem. And he's 67 years old. And listen, he's 67, admitted to killing 2 people. Already, he's in jail for life. He's in jail for the rest of his life. He will never see freedom again. Then you add all this on top. I don't think I'd want to know. Honestly, when I think about it, I don't think I would want to know if a deceased family member of mine was sexually assaulted. Their corpse was sexually assaulted. No, that's just... It's not something I would care to listen to. And finally, it's an interesting story because I've seen it all over social media. Me and my friends have literally been talking about it for the past hour. Yeah, talking about it for the last hour or so. And that is the tragedy that took place at Astroworld. So, only way I can explain it is with... The only way you can explain it, Miles, is by telling the truth. So, Astroworld, if you don't know what Astroworld is, or Astroworld Festival is a festival that was put on by Travis Scott. So, Travis Scott devastated after 8 fans died at his Astroworld Festival. So, it was an Astroworld Festival in America over the weekend. On night number 1, 50,000 or just over 50,000 people at this festival. I'm not going to say, I don't want to put any artist names out there. Again, they're all out there. You can go and research it yourself. But there's so many stories and so many misleading stories. I'm not too sure. The story I've seen is that it was a festival and then Drake was either on stage performing or was about to come on stage and perform. This created a surge or a stampede, as they're calling it, of a bunch of people trying to rush to the front or rush the stage or rush to the front of the stage to get as close to him as possible. Subsequently, people were killed. 8 people were killed and hundreds of people were injured. I really wish I had someone on here to go back and forth with so I could, like, playing devil's advocate or not. So, what I'll start with, here we go. I'll start by saying, I said this to my friends and I'll start by saying this. No one person is to blame for all this. All of this, in my opinion anyway, all of this can't be blamed on one person. For such a tragic event to happen, because here's what I'm thinking. Festivals, concerts, there's always a lot of people there. There's always that one artist or band that's going to come on the stage that's going to make everyone go absolutely batshit crazy. And if you've been to a festival or concert, there has been an artist that has come on stage and that has made the crowd get compact. You've felt you've been squished up a bit, or you've seen people pushing, or you feel the push. It happens everywhere. Unfortunately for Travis Scott, 8 people died when it happened at his festival. Not excusing it. I'm just telling you guys what I'm thinking. So the fact that a stampede or a surge happened isn't shocking to me. The fact that 8 people died, is shocking. I'm also shocked that that hasn't happened sooner. So that's that bit. That's that bit out of the way. I'm seeing a lot of people putting the blame on Travis Scott. Now, I will say this. He is not 100% innocent, but I would also say he is not 100% guilty. My opinion, for such a big fuck up like this to happen, everyone involved fucked up somewhere. Okay? If one person had messed up, or if a few people had messed up, you probably would have had this, but you wouldn't have had the deaths or as many deaths. Everyone at some point has fucked up or let the ball drop, has let something happen for 8 people to lose their life. I've seen people blaming Travis Scott because of his history. If you don't know Travis Scott's history, Travis Scott is a wild one, okay? I don't know about you, but Travis Scott is one of the hip hop stars I know who likes a lively crowd. Okay, he's one of those rappers that wants you to mosh pit. He wants you to go batshit crazy. In 2015, he was charged with disorderly conduct after encouraging fans in Chicago to ignore security and rush the stage. 2 years later, he spotted a fan hanging from a venue's second-story balcony and tried to persuade them to jump. At the same concert, a 27-year-old fan was paralyzed after being pushed off a third-floor balcony. There was a video, I'm sure it's Travis Scott, where there's a video of a kid jumping on stage to rap with him, and security tries to grab the kid, and Travis Scott goes mad at him and then lets the kid stay on stage with him and does some rapping. So these things aren't new. Now, I don't know this, but I'm pretty sure Travis Scott didn't tell people kill people. I'm pretty sure Travis Scott didn't say, yo, start a stampede or anything like that. I'm not saying he's completely innocent. I'm just saying there's a lot of reports out here saying that he incited the riot or he incited the stampede or whatnot. I wasn't there. I haven't seen all the footage to know. He might have wanted to get people hyped, but that's what everyone that's on stage does. People on stage, they do these kinds of things. So I'm not shocked there. His name's tied to the festival, yes, but there's a production company. There's a security company. There is all these things in place that should either prevent these things from happening or, end there. There's things in place that should prevent these things from happening. It's as simple as that. Who else is that? There's videos going around. So here's one reason why I think Travis Scott, I'm going to be bouncing all over the place, but here's one reason why I think Travis Scott did all he can. Now, you might think to yourself, Miles, you're shooting him a lot of bail here. Or you might think I'm biased. I'm not biased. I like Travis Scott and I like some of his songs. I'm not like a massive Travis Scott fan. I wouldn't rush to a concert if there was one in the UK, but I like some of his music. If you are on stage at a concert or a festival, you've got a lot of bright lights in your face. You don't have 100% clarity of what's going on out there. You're probably thinking, yeah, but I understand. That's just one thing I would say. However, Travis Scott has obviously disputed that because I've seen the video of an ambulance or a medical vehicle driving through the crowd and Travis stops everything and he's like, what's that? There's also different footage from different parts of that night of Travis Scott stopping his performance and saying, yo, someone come help this guy, someone come check up on this guy. Now, in Travis Scott's defense, I don't think anyone's ever died at one of his shows before or while he's been performing. He is 100% used to seeing people pass out, whether it's one person or whether it's multiple people. I'm sure most people that have been on stage are used to seeing people pass out. He stopped the show, tried to make sure they got all the attention they needed, and when someone got to them, he carried on the show. In my opinion, he's done everything he can do. You probably think, yeah, Miles, he should have stopped the show. Listen, there is a saying in show business, the show must go on. Okay? That is a saying, the show must go on. If I'm Travis Scott and I'm on stage and I've seen people pass out at my shows before, no one's ever died before, and I look into the crowd and I can see it looks like someone's passed out and I can see that the medical people are on their way to him, I'm going to carry on. I'm literally going to carry on. If I'm Travis Scott, me personally, if I'm Travis Scott and I'm on stage and I don't know if Travis Scott heard this, by the way, but if I hear a few people chanting, stop the show, or anything like that, I'm not stopping the show. In the back of my head, if it's something crazy serious, someone somewhere should let me know, yo, the show needs to stop. Fine, I'll stop the show then. For all I know, you could be recording a TikTok. You could be recording a TikTok screaming, stop the show. I stop the show. We made Travis stop the show, blah, blah, blah. All sorts of things like that. You're not going to stop the show. It's as simple as that. There's other videos of some cameraman. There's a cameraman up on one of those big, massive cameras and some girl jumps on there and she's screaming. She's screaming either she's dead or he's dead, but she's screaming about someone being dead and the cameraman's just saying, get down, get down. Now, it sounds like I'm sticking up for these people. I'm trying not to. I'm just looking at it from both sides. In the cameraman's defense, he is a cameraman. He is there to do one job, and he's making sure he does that job and he gets paid. If you jump up, again, from the cameraman's perspective, if I see some little fuckety fuck, some little kid jump up on my camera thing, which I'm pretty sure is not the first time that's happened. You've probably seen plenty of people jump up on there saying all sorts of shit, probably drunk, high, whatever. You're ignoring them and you're getting them down. He's probably thinking the same thing. He's got his headset on, so I doubt he can hear her. The music's blasting, so that makes it even harder to hear her. He's probably getting instructions in his ear. Yo, camera 2, turn this way. Camera 2, flick over here. Right, flick into camera 3. Camera 2, get back in position. All sorts of things like that. He's just trying to get this little girl, like, yo, get down, because when this camera arm swings, you're going to get hurt. Get down before you hurt yourself. That's probably what's going through his head. The girl that jumped up on there, yo, you did everything you could. I am not blaming you. I'm not blaming either of them. That girl that jumped up on there, she's jumping around trying to get as much attention as possible, saying, yo, he's dead. He's dead. The only other thing she could have done is run up to the cameraman, took his headphones off, smacked him across the face and gone, yo, that person's dead. Go and do something. Again, it's not his job to do it. I completely understand. The one thing I think of the most whenever I think of this, whenever I hear people say the show should have been stopped. Yes, the show should have been stopped. Should Travis Scott have been the one to stop the show? From what I believe, no, because he's on stage. He doesn't know what's happening in the crowd. If you don't know what's happening in the crowd, 9 times out of 10, you're going to continue. He stops at parts, makes sure people get the help they needed. He probably stops the show, says, yo, someone help that guy. As soon as he can see people walking over there or people picking him up, he probably carries on. They pick him up, they carry him off somewhere. He carries on. Travis Scott's not seeing live the footage that we were seeing of people of like multiple people on the floor getting CPR done on them. He doesn't know that people have died now. This brought me to when Kanye West was on stage. A few years ago, Kanye West was on stage. I want to say it was Rolling Loud, or Coachella, one of them two. Don't quote me. And Kim K was in Paris and she got robbed. When Kim K got robbed in Paris, Kanye was on stage live performing at that time. A message got to Kanye. Kanye stopped what he was doing and bounced. As you would, your wife, the mother of your 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many children I had then, but the mother of your children, your wife has just been robbed in a foreign country at gunpoint, and that's all you've been told. Yeah, mic, I'm not even telling you, mic drop, gone. Someone else can explain what's happening. So my understanding is if someone can get a message to Kanye West that his wife's been robbed in Paris, surely someone in the festival could have got word to Travis Scott or got word to someone to say, yo, people are dying. You need to lock this shit off. I'm going to read this. I've seen this on Academics' Instagram, but it's a story from Radar Online. So, CNN obtained a 56-page security and emergency medical response plan drafted by the event planner. So this is before the event, not after. The plan had a section that detailed how employees should react if an attendee died or was having medical issues. Security was told to notify event control of suspected deceased victims utilizing the code SMURF. The document made it clear they were not to use the term dead or deceased. The 2021 end it there. So there was something set up. It says it right here. There was something set up that they had a plan that detailed how employees should react if an attendee died or was having a medical issue. It says later on as well, the event planner did create a strategy in case of an active shooter or bomb threat. SMURF was not the only code word in the book. Security was also told to utilize Code Adam on the radio if a child went missing. So when these people started dying, at some point, someone surely someone knew, and they were on the radio screaming SMURF. 1 SMURF, 2 SMURF, 8 SMURFs, all the SMURFs. Like, someone was on the radio shouting that. My issue is when that message was that message passed across? 2, if that message was radioed in, I don't know how many times it would have had to have been radioed, but if that message was radioed in, how and why did that message not reach Travis Scott or someone else? It has to reach either, because if you tell his DJ, his DJ is probably not just going to cut the music and be like, yo, Trav, people are dead. It's not going to happen. Someone would have had to have told him, and Travis Scott would have had to have said something on stage that would have stopped the show. Not sticking up for anyone. My only other thought I can think of is if Travis Scott had been given the information and stopped the show and said, yo, people are dead or people are dying, we have to cancel the show, that's going to incite fear. Now you've got 50,000 people that have just heard someone's dead or someone's dying. They don't know why, they don't know where, all they know is people are dying. That's probably going to cause another stampede. That might even cause a bigger stampede than the stampede getting to the stage, because now people know someone's dead and now they're trying to leave to make sure they don't die. In short, I'm glad it wasn't me. I'm glad I wasn't part of any of the security, the organization, because there's a video, if I remember, I'll put the video here. The video doesn't appear here. I didn't remember. But there's a video of the entrance or somewhere near the entrance getting stormed by hundreds, I would bet thousands, but I'll safely say hundreds of people. Those little raggedy fences, the metal ones that it just falls down and then people just climb over the top of it and they're just plowing in. Watching that video, you would believe that's where those 8 people died. It's not. I don't think anyone died there. People definitely got injured, but no one died there. And people are just mobbing their way in. I've seen people say things about security. I didn't know this myself, but again, security isn't going to be in the crowd. Security is to secure things. So security, you'll find at a festival, you tend to find security at the entrances and exits and around the perimeter to stop people getting in that shouldn't be in, and to also make sure you're not bringing anything in that you shouldn't have. Understandable. You also have security around limited access areas or any areas you need a pass. So to get on the stage, to get backstage, to get to the VIP areas, to get to wherever the artists are, there's going to be security all around there. And you'll probably get security walking around like the outer skirts of the festival. But the main, like where they have like a main stage, where the main group of people all just pile in, security aren't walking through there, because what can security do? If a fight breaks out between 100 people, again, at Travis Scott, at Astroworld, again, I've seen there's so many numbers out there. Apparently there was like 500 security, which sounds like a lot, but then when you realize there's 50,000 people, it's like one security every 1,000 person, I think. Don't check my maths, but it's a lot. It's one security for a lot of people. Again, yes, they could have got more security. They could have prevented that much. Well, they could have prevented as many people breaking in as possible. Listen, if 50,000 people choose to stampede or surge towards the stage, no, security aren't stopping that. Security aren't in that crowd. And if security was in the crowd, they're probably going to become part of the stampede and get stampoed. I don't know what the stampeded. I don't know what the term for whatever it was. They would have they'd get trampled. There we go. Security would have got trampled. I was talking to one of my other boys from work, and he was saying how apparently the capacity was 50,000, but there was 200,000 people in there. Again, I don't know how true that is. I'm not saying he's a liar. I'm just saying the information that he got, I don't know how true that is. I haven't seen that in all of the research I've been looking at. I didn't see anything that said there was that many people in there. There was definitely more people in there than there should have been. But at the same time, here's another insert. Oh, you know what? This is the wrong insert. This is an insert that I don't know. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm literally going to cover it off now. With all this tragic life lost and everything, there's a small portion of social media going around that are saying Astroworld or what happened was a satanic ritual. Shut up. Shut up. There we go. That's all I have to... Are you listening? Hey, you. Shut up. There we go. We'll move on from there, because I'm not going to sit here and talk about religion. I've done it before. I'm not doing it again. I'm not going to sit here and talk about religion. You want to judge Astroworld and call that a satanic ritual. Listen, don't make me do a research. Don't make me do a history lesson on some of these religions. Wouldn't even be a history lesson, but like, look what's happening over here now, because you just shut up. Simple as that. People lost their lives. It wasn't a fucking satanic ritual. People lost their lives because people surge, okay? If you've been to a concert or you've been to a festival, you have seen those annoying fuckers that just start pushing their way through. Imagine that times 50,000. That wasn't Satan. It was Drake and them on stage. It's not Satan. It was really good music and people wanting to rush and push all over there. There's videos where people are trying to skew it, where they're trying to make it look like Travis Scott was just singing whilst looking at a dead body. No. Again, if something comes out and it turns out Travis Scott did know people were dying and he didn't care and he wanted the show to go on for whatever reason, then I will take this all back and he is a piece of shit. Again, you might be listening to this thinking, Miles, I feel like you're sticking up for Travis Scott. Only slightly. I am not saying he's 100% innocent. He definitely riles the crowd up. Whether you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, it's only because 8 people died that it's a bad thing. If no one died and no one was injured and he riled up the crowd, that would just be a video on social media right now. There's literal videos of mosh pits where it looks like thousands of people have just split up and left a massive hole, and then they all just run at each other and meet in the middle. It's artists do it, not just rappers. It's rappers, rockers, pop stars probably. I don't know if country music people have mosh pits, but everybody does it. You rile up your fans. Now again, Travis Scott has got in trouble before for the way that he riles up his fans, telling them to rush the stage, Fox security and all sorts of things like that. That I don't agree with. But yeah, if I was an artist, I'd be riling them up as well. You'd probably hear me say, go fucking nuts, go mad, lose your shit, let's get out of control. All of those random phrases that people shout. You'd probably hear me say all that. So I'm not saying he's completely innocent, but it's definitely not all his fault. For me, there is a handful of people who should take the majority. No, there's a handful of people that should take the blame for the show going on. To me, it falls into 2 parts. There's blame for the people dying, and there's blame for the show going on. They are 2 different things. The same people might be involved that are to be blamed, but to me, the people that should be blamed, I don't know how you say blamed either, but the people that should be responsible for the surge or whatever happened, to me, falls on the organisers and production. Now, I don't know if Travis Scott falls into this. I was talking to my boys and I was like, I don't know if Travis Scott has his own production team. Like, he might pay a production team to run the event. Yo, this is my event. I want you to run it. And then it's up to Travis Scott to get the fans there. Simple as that. Yes, maybe more security should have been put in place. Maybe they should have had a better layout for the people. Maybe they should have worked out timings a bit better. So, I don't know what happened. Maybe one act finished at 9:30. But a bigger act started at 9:30, so a bunch of people were all immediately trying to rush over. Whereas if one had finished at 9 and they had like a half an hour break, so people could just mosey on over there, get calm, like I said, I don't know. Drake's performed everywhere. He's been to Glastonbury. No, he hasn't. I don't know if he's been Glastonbury, but he's been Reading Festival. He's been everywhere. Bigger artists than Drake, Beyonce, they've been everywhere and people have never died. People have been crushed. You see it all the time, but people have never died, so it's just unlucky that it happens to Travis Scott. And for the show not stopping, there's definitely someone that's to blame there. In my head, people were definitely radioing. At some point, it must have hit someone. They heard Smurf or they heard people have dead. And they've took it upon themselves to either not tell people, or a group of people have sat there, they've all looked at each other and they've said, yo, the show's scheduled to finish in 20 minutes anyway. Let's just let it rock. Now, again, I'm playing devil's advocate. I'm trying to think of both sides. Because I personally think the show should have been started. As soon as people die, especially like, if one person dies, depending on what the incident is, you might get away with, look, the show carried on. But when 8 people, again, I don't know how many people would have died while the concert was going on. Some people could have died after. Depending on how many people were dying in that point, they maybe should have said, yo, lock this whole shit off. The only other option I can think of is what would have happened if they had stopped the show. I can't remember what year it was. Years and years ago now. I'm talking I was in high school, maybe college. So it's over 10 years ago. I went to Birmingham with a few friends it was a Christmas concert where they were going to switch on the lights. And I think the big act was JLS, or one of the bigger acts was JLS. And what happened was every time an act finished, the act would go off stage and it felt like it took 20 minutes for the next act to come on stage. So what happened is the more acts that came out, the longer it took, the more agitated the crowd were getting. And then we got told JLS are coming out. So because people heard JLS were coming out, everyone just surged forward. People started getting crushed up at the front. They were passing out. Because all this was happening, someone would come out on stage and be like, yo, look, JLS are getting ready to come out, but before JLS can come out, we need to make sure it's all secure and safe. So everyone needs to start pushing, step back. Again, you don't want to hear this. So people started booing. People were throwing bottles. Like, I'm talking bottles were flying left and right to the point where you had to, like, sort of keep your head on a swivel and just mind where you were going because bottles were throwing, like, to the point where it happened so much. It was all pushing through. JLS never came out. They cancelled the show. Everyone got pissed. And then eventually, like, half an hour to an hour later of people waiting around to be like, you know what, they've definitely cancelled the show. People left. And I remember seeing one Asian guy and he had the fattest, most purple eye. And all I could think is, I bet you we got hit in the face with a bottle. I bet you someone has launched a bottle high in the air with some flare behind it. They've probably put piss or something heavy in the bottle so it carries. And it's just twatted this guy right in the eye and fucked up his whole face. That was an on-subject tangent. That tangent was basically to say, imagine if you went somewhere to see Travis, to see Drake, to see whoever, and you don't see them, and it gets cancelled. And again, if they cancel the show and stop the show and say someone's died, that's going to incite fear. Fuck knows what that would cause, but that would be mayhem. 50,000 people are scared for their lives. Terrible. But if you stop the show without giving a valid reason, again, you might be listening to this thinking, Miles, you don't need to give a reason. Stop the show. Hey, like I said, I think the show should have been stopped. But if you don't know how to stop that show in a safe manner, are you only making things worse? Now, from a selfish point of view, it might have benefited Travis to stop the show. Because if Travis had stopped the show, but no, listen, Travis stops the show stops, a riot ensues, a stampede ensues, whatever ensues, he'll probably get the blame. Oh, he shouldn't have stopped the show. Oh, there was only 20 minutes left. They should have carried on so everyone could have left calmly. He shouldn't have said, people, listen, I've never worked in that kind of situation before. If I was Travis Scott on stage, I would hope someone's going to tell me what to say, because I wouldn't know what to say. The only thing I would know is I don't think it's a good idea for me to start telling people are dead or dying right now. It just doesn't, logistically, it just doesn't seem like that would be the best thing, because I can't imagine you're going to get the greatest response. So how do you stop the show? Because if Travis Scott just walks off and no one comes back out, they're going to riot, which is going to cause even more injuries. Listen, a rock and a hard place. That's where Travis Scott is. His apology was shit. His apology, but again, I feel like all celebrity apologies are shit. I feel like celebrities don't really care to apologize. And what it is an apology is only meaningful if you mean it. If you're apologizing because someone told you to, or because you're trying to avoid being cancelled or losing deals or whatever, the apology is never going to seem authentic. Again, I was talking to my friends in the business world. As Travis Scott, you probably don't want to apologize too much, because then you can seem liable to he's already getting sued by everyone. Drake's being sued. Everyone's being sued by everyone. Yeah, get your money up, whatever. So yeah, I don't know how this show would have or should have been stopped. Should it have been stopped? Yes. How you stop it, that's not up to me. I am not paid enough anywhere. And I'd hope there is someone somewhere paid enough to come up with these things to think of how I can safely stop this show and safely get everyone out of here. That's the trickiest thing. That is, even when a show ends normally, people still linger around for 30, 40 minutes for whatever fucking reason. I don't know. Rest in peace to the 8 people that lost their lives. Thoughts go out to the families, because you sent your child or your friend, your family member to a concert thinking they were going to have a good time and come back, and now you find out that they're not going to come back because they were crushed or whatever happened. Oh, it's fucking horrible. It's horrible. But let's leave that there. I don't know if there's anything. Travis Scott's he's refunding. Well, it's Astroworld's a 2-day festival. This happened on day 1. Day 2 got cancelled, as it should have. Travis Scott is refunding everybody's ticket. Everyone who came on day 1, they're all getting their ticket refunded. I personally don't think he has to do that, because they got the show. Listen, I know people died. I still don't think everyone should get their ticket refunded. I think that's a dope gesture. Whether it was him, his marketing team, whoever said refund everyone, I applaud you, because now they can't say anything about he only cares about the money. Even if you did only care about the money, you're refunding everyone. You could have said, yo, if you got injured, send us your details. We'll make sure you get a refund. Nope. Everybody is getting a refund. He's offered, I don't know if they're accepting it, but I think he's offering to pay for all of the family's funerals, which again, my friend was like, so he should. I don't know if that's his responsibility. Again, the way I look at it is Travis isn't the sole reason all this shit happened. To me, he's not the sole reason all this happened. Ergo, he shouldn't be the sole reason to fix all these things. But refunding everyone's ticket, stand-up thing to do. Paying for the funerals, stand-up thing to do. Maybe come up with a better apology. But apart from that, I feel like Travis has done as much as he can do post this happening. And the biggest question now will be, I wonder if there will be another Astroworld Festival. I think it happens once a year. Yeah, it's normally once a year. So it'll be interesting to see whether he gets another festival. It'll be interesting to see if he gets booked at any other festivals. He's one of the biggest artists in the world. I imagine he will. If you guys can hear popping, I do apologize. I don't know, it's in front of me. There's bubble wrap here, and you know what happens when you see bubble wrap, and I just want to pop one, and then you just can't stop. I'm gonna stop. Right, let's move on from Travis Scott Astroworld, and we'll talk about the final topic of the day: what's on the box, the weekly segment where I talk about what new film, TV show, trailers, anything I have been seeing, and we go through it here. And it happened. I have finally seen it. Friday the 5th of November. Oh, I forgot my TV was on. Friday the 5th of November. Eternals, the latest edition in the MCU, the 26th film. Possibly. 26th, I'll stick with it for now. The 26th film came out. Where do I start? I'll start with my rating. Out of 5, I give Eternals 3 out of 5. It's not... I wouldn't put it in... Well, would I? I wouldn't put it in the top 10 MCU films, but it's definitely in the top half, I think I want to say. Yeah, it's a good film. Let me start by saying this. It's a good film. Go and watch it. It's one of those ones I suggest you watch it. If you're into the MCU, you probably kind of have to watch it. It seems like it's going to be an integral part of the MCU. I can see why some people weren't the biggest fan of this, and you know what I'm putting it down to? It's the similar sort. I think it's the same sort of people that prefer Infinity War to Endgame. Hear me out. As a standalone film, like if you take the two together, if you take the two films and just put them, they're not in an MCU, they're just standalone films. Infinity War is probably the better film. Easy story to follow. This guy's coming. We need to defeat him. Action all the way through. Like big action fight. Not just like little fight. There's big action. There's the big fight in New York, which I think's first. Then there's the fight on Titan with Guardians of the Galaxy and Iron Man. Then you've got the fight in Wakanda. The whole fight. All the fights in Wakanda. You've got the Proxima Midnight and Corvus Glade versus Wanda, Vision, and then Captain. There's fights everywhere through it all. In terms of the story, however, me personally, Endgame is a much, much better movie. Well, not much, much better, but Endgame's the better movie for me. It's the preferred movie. In terms of Eternals, if you were watching this MCU movie and you're used to what we've seen in the past 10, 15 MCU movies, which is interconnectivity, tie-in, this character and this character from that film popping up in this film and then popping up in this film, I get why you don't like it, because this was all Eternals. They mention Thor's name, they mention Thanos' name, but you don't see any other MCU characters, or as far as I'm aware, you don't see any other MCU characters in this film. So, spoilers. Eternals, what is Eternals about? Eternals is about, these Eternals are godlike immortal beings that were created by the Celestials. So, Celestials have all these planets to look after. They created deviants to kill off the top predator, to kill off apex predators. But then the deviants grew out of control, so then they created Eternals to kill off the deviants. Why? Inside planets, there is a little celestial seed. They use the energy from the planet to grow that seed, and then when it's ready for fertilization, it emerges, which you hear the emergence throughout the film, which is basically a big fuck-off giant just breaks out of our planet, destroying the planet, and lives on. So, first half of the film is Eternals versus Deviants. a massive twist happens. Ajax, the lead, gets killed by Icarus. So Ajax, an Eternal, the lead Eternal, gets killed by Icarus, the strongest Eternal, because Ajax she's deviating from the plan. The plan, like, Ajax has always known what the plan is. The plan is you come here, you kill the deviants, you wait for the emergence, and then you safely leave this place. They get their mind wiped, so they forget everything about it, and they go out and do it again. However, with Earth, Ajax was like, nah, there's something different about this planet. She tells Icarus this, and she's like, I want to stop the emergence. Icarus is such a diehard follower of the Celestial. I forget his name. It begins with an A, and I feel like Alaz. No, Alaz is Thanos' dad. Athea? He's got a name, and it starts with A. Him. Icarus is so loyal to him that he ends up setting up Ajax to get her killed by deviants. It then gets passed on to Cersei. Is it Cersei? Yeah, Cersei. It gets passed on to Cersei. I'm terrible at doing movie reviews, guys, okay? I think you know this by now. The movie's dope. But yeah, it gets passed on to Cersei, and then it's up to Cersei. Cersei finds out the truth about what's happening. Cersei also wants to stop it. Icarus then thinks, fuck this. It all comes out. Everyone then finds out. Cersei tells everyone, yo, we're not really beings. We're synthetic. We were made to stop all this happening. I don't want this to happen anymore. We need to stop this emergence. Most people side with her. Icarus is like, nope, we weren't sent here for this purpose. Sprite is another Eternal. She's in love with Icarus. She sides of Icarus. And Kunal, I think his name's Kunal. Let me try and find out what his name is in this. He's also like Icarus's boy and's been with him from day one, so he rides with him as well. Oh, Kumal? No, Kingo. Kumal. Is Kumal his real name? Yeah. Oh, Kumal's his real name. Kingo is his character name. Oh, as if I knew his real name. But no, the movie is dope. I would have loved to see a bit more fighting. I think that the issue the film has is there's like 10 main characters. I'm just going to count them there. Hold on. So Eternals, there's one. So there's Thena, who's Angelina Jolie's character. You got Thena, Icarus, Cersei, Ajax, Gilgamesh, Druig, Kingo, Sprite, Makari, Fastos. Oh no, there is 10. I think I've read out more than 10. Yeah, there's 10. So there's 10 Eternals that I can think of. Imagine all 10 Eternals have all different powers, which I feel like they get their powers across quite well. There's like little fight montages where you see different ones of them. The fight scene right at the very end. Listen, what's her name? Makari, the speedster. Makari gives Icarus the business, okay? The business. I'm talking hands, feet, to say Icarus is the strongest. I was watching that for a few seconds. And I was like, yo, Makari might not need the help of anyone. She's got this by herself. Oh, she's dope. She might be one of my favorite characters on there. Kunjo and what's his name? Karan, who's played by Harish Patel. Listen, Karan, every Marvel movie is comedy, and a lot of these Marvel movies always have like that one person that they rely on for comedy. In this movie, it's someone called Karan, and he nails it. He might be the best thing about the whole movie. Remember when I was talking about Shang-Chi? If you saw my Shang-Chi review, I was talking about you've got that comedian TikToker guy who's on the bus filming, but it got too much for me. You only see him for like 10 minutes, but it got way too much for me. This Karan guy he is great from the first time you see him till the final time you see him. He is fantastic. Let's go through it. Angelina Jolie's character, I didn't believe it was Angelina Jolie fighting. I don't know if that was the film's fault or if that was my fault. But whenever I saw Athena fighting, I was like, that's not Angelina Jolie. It's a stunt woman. I just couldn't buy her doing it. But her character's cool. She plays the god of war. She's got something called Weary Mind, which basically, because these guys have lived 1,000 lives, and they get their memories wiped. Athena hasn't had her memories wiped, or hadn't had them wiped properly, so she had a lot of memories. So these Eternals deal with something called Mad Weary, which is basically when you've got too many memories, it starts sending you crazy and you attack the loved ones around you. So that happens to her throughout the film. That technically leads to one of the Eternals' death, but I'll get to it. Kit Harington, he plays someone called the Black Knight. Kit Harington's not really in this movie, okay? He's in the start of the movie, and then he pops up towards the end of the movie. I feel like Eternals definitely sets up his character, the Black Knight, for future MCU movies, especially one of the end credit scenes as well. Richard Madden, who played Robb Stark in Game of Thrones, he plays Icarus. I think he does a good job of it. I didn't suspect him being evil until the evil turn happened, but I'm also very stupid when it comes to watching some movies, so I miss all the signs. But I think he played it well. Icarus is a dope character, but he is so Superman. It's hard to do a character that can fly and shoot lasers out their eyes and not make it look very Superman-y. And talking to Superman, the MCU mentioned DC. In this movie, Eternals, there's a bit that you see in the comics where Phastos' son sees Icarus and is like, oh my god, you're Superman, I saw you flying with a cape and the laser eyes, you took down that monster. And he's like, I don't have a cape. But they mentioned Superman. And then later on, someone mentions Batman. And he's like, what, I'm not your Alfred, like Batman. And I was like, what's with all the DC movies being name dropped in the MCU? Who knows? But now we know that in the MCU, Star Wars exists. And we now know the DC universe exists. So the more you know. Cersei, played by Gemma Chan. I think Cersei was cool. She was obviously one of the Eternals. She's got the power where she can turn things into matter. Well, she can change things. Like, there's a scene where a bus comes at her and she touches the bus and they turn to butterflies. She can basically touch things and turn it into stuff. She apparently thought she couldn't change sentient stuff, but later in the film, she touches one of the deviants and turns it into a weird-looking tree, so she has the ability to do that. Ajax, I've mentioned Ajax before. She is the lead Eternal who ends up dying when she reveals her plans to Icarus. Gilgamesh, he's the strong one. He's a dope character as well. He loves Athena. I don't know love in what type of way, but he has a lot of love for Athena. So when Athena goes crazy and they all split up, well, when Ajax basically sends them all on their own to say, look, go and live your lives because this shit's fucked. Gilgamesh sticks with Athena, even though he knows one day he might have to kill her. He works out how to calm her down, but then a fight breaks out later and Athena goes all mad and she has to hide, and then that leads to Gilgamesh getting killed. Druig, played by Barry. Who is this Barry guy? I'm trying to work out who this Barry guy is, because I feel like his face, I see his face, I'm like, I've seen you in something, but I can't work out what the hell I've seen him in. And I'm looking through his movie list now, and all the movies that are coming up, I haven't seen not one of them. But his face looked familiar. I don't know if it's because he looks like someone, but his face looks so familiar when I see him. But Druig, he can control people. It's like his eyes go white and then he can control people's minds. Not much more to say about him. There's Kingo, I've mentioned him, one of the funnier characters. He shoots energy beams at his fingers. Sprite, what does Sprite do actually? Sprite goes invisible. She goes invisible and can cause hallucinations. That's the one. Makari, the super speed, so I've already mentioned her. And Phastos, who's like the technology guy. The film, like I said, the film is dope. If you're expecting MCU tie-ins, you won't see it. But again, you need to remember, we're now in phase 4. Phase 1, 2, and 3 was the Infinity Saga. It was all about the Avengers being founded, defending Earth, coming up against the big bad that is Thanos and the Infinity Stones and overcoming him, which they did. Infinity Saga's done. Like, from now on, you probably won't see or hear much more of the Infinity Stones. They've served their purpose. They're still going to be in the MCU, but they've served their purpose. There are bigger and badder threats coming out now that we've got through that. I feel like the Eternals is the first movie that's going to start setting these things up. Again, we've got Shang-Chi came out. That seemed like a very standalone movie, but then you see Wong from Doctor Strange come into that, had that little tie-in there. Eternals, again, until you get to... No, there's no tie-in. The first end credit scene, you have Star Fox, aka Eros, aka Thanos' brother. He turns up and he's like, I'm an Eternal, found this globe. I know where your friends are, I can help you. And the second post-credit scene is with the Black Knight. What's his name? Is it Dan? It's got the Black Knight here, but I'm trying to remember what the flipping out his name is in this. But he's called Dan or something like that. But it's him in front of a sword. It's the Ebony Sword, which it ties into his history. The Ebony Sword was created by Merlin for Sir Percival, something like that. It's an evil sword that the more you it protects you from death, basically. So whoever's wielding the sword can't die, but the more you use it, the more enraged and bloodthirsty and furious and vengeful you become. So, it doesn't look too good for Rob's character. He might turn into a bad guy. And also, Blade, you don't see Mahershala Ali, but you hear his voice when Rob's about to pick up the sword. He's like, I think he says, "Are you sure you want to do that?" He's like, "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Something along those lines. And then it just cuts. But that was my kind of Eternals review. I know I was all over the place. It's a good film. I'd give it 3 out of 5. Definitely worth a watch, especially if you're into the MCU. Don't expect any MCU tie-ins. This is all about setting up. I personally feel like it's all about setting up Phase 4, 5, 6 and the future of the MCU. The film ends with one of the Eternals being made human. Cersei, Athena, and... who is it? Cersei, Athena, and one of the other ones. I forget which one it is. They end up getting snatched up by the Celestial because, again... the whole premise of the movie, it starts with it's Eternals versus Deviants. The Eternals are here to clear off the Deviants. Once they clear off the Deviants, or they think they've cleared off the Deviants, they then... Ajax reveals her plan. She dies. Cersei then finds out, the only reason we're here to kill the Deviants is because we were made to kill the Deviants, because the Deviants were made to keep the apex predators from killing everything on the planet. The Deviants ended up getting too powerful. We were here to clear that up. Once we've done that, this planet's going to be destroyed and we need to bounce. Unfortunately, most of them all got attached to the planet. So then toward the last third of the film starts becoming, we need to stop this Celestial from emerging. They do stop the Celestial from emerging thanks to Cersei and her wicked powers. So then, because they saved the planet but killed a Celestial, they are going to get judged by Arashim. I want to say Arashim the Judge. His name is something like that. It's a dope film, guys, okay? Go watch it. And if you've made it this far, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Miles High Club podcast. Tell a friend, help me beat the algorithms. Until the next time, peace!